In the world of video game competition, we see tons of genres in the esports spotlight. From MOBAs, shooters, and fighting games, there is a wide range of games and genres to watch. Yet, there is one genre that has untapped potential for this competitive scene, but hasn't been given the chance to make an impact. Today, we'll take a look at how the vehicular combat genre could not only come back from its slump, but also become the next biggest esport. Just like with arcade racers, we have seen less and less vehicular combat games over the years. Some particularly noteworthy examples are Onrush, which failed commercially, and Destruction All-Stars, which seems to be dropping off fairly quickly. Though, we've had successes like Grip Combat Racing, Wreckfest, and Crossout, which shows that while it's still a niche genre, there is still a big enough audience out there to drive these games. Yet, do these games in the genre have a good enough foundation to elicit interest? I'd say generally, yes, these games all have amazing potential. Many have team-based game modes with exciting gameplay akin to other esports games out there. While it may not look like it on the surface, these games take a great amount of skill. When I see amazing drift boosting in Blur, the crazy kills in Gas Guzzlers Extreme, and the insane driving in Wipeout, the untapped competitive potential of these games are just screaming at us. There have been some organized tournaments, like the one I saw recently for Grip Combat Racing, but nothing that is really mainstream. Yet, there is one vehicular combat style game that has seen huge success, not only in the casual scene, but also in high-level competition, this being Rocket League. Even though it's not the typical game in this genre, it still has those same car combat fundamentals. Rocket League is a shining example on how to do a vehicular combat game right for the casual and pro level play. So, what would it take to see this genre rise to the ranks as the next biggest esport? To have a great online experience, the games need to be designed with really good netcode. A big problem of something like Destruction All-Stars is its laggy sessions. Players will be often hit by invisible forces, or hits won't even register. Networking will never be perfect, due to differences in ping and other factors that can be out of control for the devs. Yet they can still minimize these issues by prioritizing a stable, consistent online system. Also, another important feature is having local area network support. LAN removes all the possible unstableness of an internet connection. As the pandemic gets under control, we will see teams return back to having matches in stadiums, so neglecting to have LAN support will completely kill a game's esports potential, so this is a must. Lastly, there needs to be a way to spectate matches. It's super important for casters to be able to view matches to live stream them. I remember seeing a small Wreckfest event where the live streamer had to load into the match and then quit in order to spectate the match. That is just too cumbersome to be doing in a live event and shows how important it is to have a spectating system built right into the game. Rocket League saw huge success with its unique, addicting game design and depth of its mechanics, which does give it an edge up compared to other games in the genre. Though, I'm sure a more typical vehicular combat game can still capture an audience. Most likely, it will use weapons as its main combat focus, like the realistic weapons in Full Auto or the power-up based ones like in Blur. This will give the game enough depth to have addicting and very competitive gameplay. Don't get me wrong, car-on-car combat is still tons of fun, but I don't believe it could bring the same excitement as a weaponized vehicular combat game. While many vehicular combat games are very competitive, they aren't set up for high-level play. Most don't have a ranking system or have a very basic implementation. Giving people a reason to work for their rank with matchmaking rating, leaderboards, and rewards is a surefire way to get people to care for the game, rather than just a basic XP level value attached to their name. This system is used by many games, including Rocket League, so this is another necessary element for competitive gameplay. One consistent problem with this genre is their physics. Games can have really wonky physics. I mean, really wonky. Having refined physics will help the gameplay be way more skillful than of chance. Imagine if the physics of the ball were inconsistent in Rocket League. That game would have never taken off if that was the case. An interesting thing I'm noticing is that the main complaint for many of these games is their repetitiveness. There seems to be a certain expectation that this genre of games needs to have a lot of content. Game modes, maps, vehicles, and vehicle customization needs to be in quantity or people just won't be interested. Rocket League got very lucky in this regard, as it became a huge hit that its competitive scene naturally grew from. Not only would a vehicular combat game need a lot more help in marketing it to a larger audience, but it also needs a ton of support in its esports scene by the developer and publisher. I'm sure it can be done, but there would have to be a substantial developer and publisher behind the project. I don't think we will see an indie success again make it to esports, especially in this genre. Making a competitive or esports tailored game isn't easy. Many have failed, and the vehicular combat genre has a lot more pitfalls to consider. However, if a AAA developer and publisher were willing to do what I stated above, we could have the start of the next esports genre. Vehicular combat has had an open spot to take back its popularity it once had in the late 90s and early 2000s, while adapting to this new competitive atmosphere. Who will be the ones daring enough to do it? We will just have to hope that someone will take the plunge. This has been Gamer Alex. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a nice day.